Hello everybody, welcome back to another video where I normally talk over a game, but today I have QuirkyLoveRosee on the screen, literally on a TV because I thought it looked fun. Anyway, the reason why I'm bringing her up today is, well, first of all, I watch a lot of Gorlworld. Most of my time on YouTube is spent looking at reaction channels, content, talking about foodie beauty, ALR, and of course, now lately, also QuirkyLoveRosee because she has kind of slid into the scene. She's always kind of been there as a bit of a satellite, but people didn't really consider her to be a girl, as they say. And girl in Gorlworld is spelled G-O-R-L and not G-I-R-L. That's why they say gorl most of the time. Either way, normally I would not make a video on them because honestly, I don't really consider myself to be a reaction channel. But I learned the other day that QuirkyLoveRosee has been trying to get an autism diagnosis. Now that in itself isn't an issue because a lot of people who are adults want to be diagnosed because they feel like they have experienced some difficulty throughout their life, which they feel may be connected to possibly being on the spectrum. And I'm not a psychologist, so I definitely cannot say whether she is or isn't, although the vlog that I'm currently showing in the background also shows clips of her boyfriend Remy. I would actually consider him to be on the spectrum before her, but okay, that's just my opinion, but alright. The thing is, she has two siblings from what I gather. She has an older sister who was the golden child within the family and was amazing, according to her parents, I suppose. Then she is the middle child and she has a younger brother, and her younger brother has autism. That's what I heard anyway. And because her younger brother has autism, she wanted to get a diagnosis as well. I think she's been trying to convince her parents of that. And now she has been to a psychologist, or at least somebody who could diagnose, I suppose, at least twice. And both times she did not get the diagnosis, which saddened her. Now, like I said, I'm not a psychologist. I definitely can't say whether or not she is on the spectrum or anything like that. What I do know is that there is a heightened possibility that if you have a sibling on the spectrum that you also are on the spectrum, but it's not a guarantee. I think I heard somewhere that you're more like 8 times more likely to be on the spectrum if you have a sibling on the spectrum or a parent. Obviously, it's going to come from somewhere. But like I said, it's not a guarantee. And I can understand the struggle of an adult female trying to get a diagnosis because it's still quite difficult for a female to get a diagnosis, because a lot of psychologists and healthcare providers still look mainly for the male symptoms of autism. Like, are you super focused on one topic? Do you like trains? Do you have trouble making eye contact? Do you have trouble in social situations? Is your voice monotone, or whatever they look for? Things that are stereotypically male, because that's where most of the research was done. So that's what most psychologists and healthcare providers know, quote unquote, about autism. And the female version of autism is not as well known. So it could be that she was denied a diagnosis twice because she happened to have a psychologist that was looking for the male side of things. Or it could just be that she does not show enough traits to actually be on the spectrum. She may have some traits. And I do see that she has certain interests that I do typically see with a lot of people that are on the spectrum. Like, this isn't quite the vlog that it shows that, but there was a vlog, I think one of the more recent videos, where they go to this very nerdy store with a lot of like games and a lot of plushies and things like that, and witchy things. And she seems to be like a fish in the water over there, so she does have at least some interest that I've seen a lot of neurodivergent people have, so she may be on some type of neurodivergent spectrum, I don't know. But I've also heard that some people are speculating that she really just wants the diagnosis to have something special about her, and maybe also to apply for some type of disability. And that's where I have a big problem with that whole thing. If it turns out that that is the case, that that is really the only reason why she's trying to get a diagnosis, because that is exactly the type of behavior that makes a lot of people doubt other adults who want to get a diagnosis. Like, oh, you're just trying to get some type of disability benefit, or you're just trying to get attention, things like that. When really most adults who are on the spectrum who were never actually diagnosed as such really just want clarity for themselves. And then having somebody come up like this, who is also fairly like well known on YouTube at least, she has a reasonable platform, a lot of people are looking at her, setting this example of somebody who really just wants benefits, basically, if that is the case, you're really just hurting people rather than helping. I think the best thing she could do is just no longer talk about trying to get a diagnosis. If she really feels like she's on the spectrum, she can just go and try to find a psychologist who is more aware of the female side of the autism spectrum, and maybe they can give her a diagnosis that way. But it really only should be, at least in her case, to clarify things for herself. If she has actual support needs, then maybe she can go and get some of that taken care of. Although she doesn't really strike me as somebody who has a lot of support needs. Of course, I don't know her personally. I don't know her struggles and stuff like that. I can only really just look at what's on YouTube. Anybody who has support needs should get those needs met. But keep it offline more than anything. Because it's not just her trying to get a diagnosis that makes people come for her in general. She has other behaviors that are questionable. Currently, she has a relationship that's kind of questionable because the guy, whom I said is more likely to be on the spectrum, Reese, I think his name is, or Remy, sorry, why do I keep saying Reese? Remy is suspected to be a feeder, and I think in one of her vlogs they go to this barbecue place, and the behavior that he's showing there is very stereotypical, like ordering a lot of food for her, not even really for himself. He did order some food for himself, but he only ate like a small section of it and then kind of left the rest, and they took that home, I think. And I'm pretty sure he ended up giving it to her. And it's just these things that made me go, my red flag detector is sending off an alarm here. And another reason that I think he's on the spectrum is because he reminds me of a lot of people that I have met over the years. I used to spend a lot of time in like comic book stores where I spent time with Trekkies, other people that were like into sci-fi and all that sort of thing. A lot of them are on the spectrum, to be honest. And they can be very nice people, so I'm not really like bothered by the fact that they are into these things and stuff like that, or that they're on the spectrum, because obviously my brother was on the spectrum. I suspect I am as well, so it's kind of like my crowd as well. But there are some there that just make me like take a step back because they are a little bit alarming. Anyway, I think he is one of them, but that has nothing to do with her trying to get a diagnosis. I think she should just try to settle this off camera. Do not mention it, because a lot of people are looking at you and they are forming opinions based on what you do. And I think QuirkyLoveRosee does tend to just record, upload, and not think about any sort of consequences that might be resulting from this, from the things that she says and that she does. And she might end up hurting quite a few people with her behavior, at least the more questionable parts. But that is just what I wanted to say about QuirkyLoveRosee. So no video game footage this time. I hope you found it interesting anyway. And if you want to go look at Gorlworld, just don't. If you've never heard of Gorlworld before, just leave it as is. The people there, like, they're not very good. The girls, I mean. Though there are a lot of reaction channels and the community that has formed around them is quite nice, so it might be fun just to hang out with people who are also equally frustrated as you. Anyway, so that is it for this week. I want to thank you for watching. Hope to see you next time, and bye-bye for now.